Yo, what is up, boys and girls? Welcome to another episode of the SarCAST podcast, episode 13, with your boy, always, Mirko. Now, if you guys have been following the channel, if you guys are up to date with the community posts that I usually post as well, this is the second time I'm recording this whole thing. So, I recorded this entire SarCAST episode already. I uploaded it, and then when I was rewatching it to add the chapters to the video, the audio was corrupted. It was like fully bass boosted. So I don't know what happened. I restarted OBS and now it's all good. So don't care what happened. I'm just gonna redo the entire episode again. So we have a lot to talk about actually. So I think we're just going to be jumping in right here. It might be a shorter episode now that I'm redoing it. It might even be longer because I have more opinions now. More fresh after I drank coffee to make the second recording. But here we go. We're going to start with the first topic of the episode about MPL Indonesia. Is MPL Indonesia in trouble? Right? Because if you guys don't know, here it is on my right. Yeah, here. If you guys don't follow MPL Indonesia on Twitter, or if you guys don't follow MOBA on Instagram, any news around MLBB anywhere like media, if you guys follow, or if you guys follow the news, you should know about this. So MPL Indonesia recently tweeted an apology to PBSI. PBSI is the esports handler, basically the government body for esports, the governing body of esports in Indonesia, right? So they made an apology on Twitter here, saying sorry to them because they did not get their permission to hold MPL Indonesia Season 10. Now, why did this happen out of nowhere? There was a lot of people in the comments section, a lot of people who just did not agree with this. As you can see, there's a lot of comments on there. There's even more on Instagram, by the way. There's only 250 on the Twitter post here, but on Instagram there are like thousands, maybe even millions around TikTok posts everywhere made criticizing the Indonesian government and criticizing PBSI for doing this because it's weird. This is the general consensus, by the way, not my opinion. The general consensus, the general public have been saying that, yo, what the heck, right? MPL Indonesia has been running for 10 seasons now. Why is it only season 10 that's getting hit, right? Like, why didn't you hit MPL Indonesia in season 1 when it was first started? So instantly there was a message by boom, bang, bada bing, Frankie_Ong, who is the general secretariat. I don't know what that is, but he's a higher up in PBSI, and basically what he's saying here is in his post, it's in Indonesian, right? So he basically said that PBSI is only obeying the 11th numbered UU for 2022. Now, UU is the constitution for Indonesia, so it's basically the 11th number, the Indonesian constitution number 11 for 2022. That has been legalized by DPR, or it's basically DPR is also a governing council. It's the People's Representative Council and the president. The president and the People's Representative Council legalized this in the middle of 2022, right after season 9. And that's why season 10 is being affected, right? Season 1 and 9 not affected at all because this rule wasn't there before season 9. Yeah, before season 9. So here as well, he also said in the post, in the story, all the way on the right, on the right of your screen, that basically the 11th number constitution here for 2022 says that every event or competition, leagues and sporting events or sporting tournaments held in Indonesia needs to be granted permission by their respective handler, by their respective governing body. For example, for any football related events, tournaments, leagues, whatever, it needs to be under it needs to get permission from PSSI, which is the Indonesian Football Association, basically. So for esports, everybody needs to get permission from PBSI, which is the governing body for esports. Now, the reason most Indonesians and why people are still hating despite him posting all this to clarify everything. There's still a lot of people in the comment section hating. There's still people everywhere not agreeing with this, because I think it's just the government in the general public's eyes in Indonesia has been tainted quite a bit due to like things that have happened in the past, mostly due to like the corruption that has happened in a lot of the governing organizations, a lot of government individuals as well. Politicians are very corrupt. Most of them are in jail right now, but because of everything that has happened in the past, most of the general public in Indonesia, most of the citizens, every time they hear something like this, every time they see something like this, they are not always on board. And now you can kind of understand, right? Because I think that's the big question for everyone living outside of Indonesia, as to what's going on. Because if there's a governing body, why is everybody so upset about it, right? So that's the reason. For me personally, I feel like it's not much of an issue as long as MPL Indonesia is runs as usual, right? I mean, M4 was supported by PBSI. ISF was also supported. Not just supported, but they PBSI actually kind of organized the event. Garuda Coup is the event organizer division for PBSI, and they organized ISF. So far these two events have been quite smooth, right? I think M4 is a bit more smooth, but you're getting you get what I mean, right? With the support of PBSI, with the permission granted, it's all good. It's just all about the permission thing. I don't think they're gonna overcomplicate much. Again, despite our obvious concerns with these kind of things happening, with the government being too hands-on on something we love, despite all the corruption that has happened a long time ago, I feel like right now it's still in a good place. I feel like right now there's no such thing happening. Might be naive, but that's just my take right now. As long as there's nothing that halts MPL Indonesia or there's no shady stuff going on, I think it's all good. This is all gonna pass by in a while. I'm just gonna clarify for most of you guys, especially the foreigners who still enjoy MPL Indonesia. I think we might have like a few changes to MPL Indonesia though. We'll see, but we're gonna move on over to some changes that has happened that aren't controversial. Well, maybe some are controversial, but it's mostly we're talking about transfers here. MPL Indonesia Season 11 has been quite crazy. The off season has been quite interesting, right? With all these crazy changes. Well, not crazy. Technically, when you compare it to Season 10, it's not crazy, but if you compare anything to Season 10's transfers, then it's not fair, right? Because Season 10 transfers were just insane. So many imports, so many crazy deals. Here, we're going to be talking about almost every single transfer, but mostly going to be talking about the big ones, right? So let's start off with Aldo to Bigatron Alpha. This is, in my opinion, such a good move for BTR. Well, in my opinion, I've been very vocal about that. Getting one of the best coaches in the world, Aldo, in Bigatron Alpha, where right now I think the only thing that they're missing is a coach figure who can actually lead the team to glory. Is a great move, right? On top of Aldo, they've also imported Coach Paulo from Brand Esports, and they also have their magical man, their magical boy, the Bigatron trophy machine, Ray's Boy. If you guys don't know Ray's Boy, he was the coach for Bigatron Era, the female division for MLBB, and they won every single tournament they were in. First season that Ray's Boy joined MDL, Bigatron Beta won MDL. So right now, and also when he coached Bigatron Alpha in Piala Presiden, which was the ISF qualifiers as well, guess what? They won. So right now, Ray's Boy has a stellar track record as a coach, and with the help of Aldo as the head coach, him as the assistant coach, and Coach Paulo as the analyst, I think Bigatron Alpha are in good hands. I think this is exactly what they needed in terms of players. They have their players. The reason there was a slope in Season 10, in my opinion, was because, they were just still adapting to each other, and the coach in Season 10 with the players their vision did not align, Coach Ren and the players. So I think it's a good move. I think it's a solid move. I think Bigatron Alpha are going to be solid contenders for Season 11, and you guys should keep an eye out for them. Next, related to Bigatron Alpha as well, Matt, the gold laner for Bigatron Alpha that was demoted to the MDL team, Bigatron Beta, who then went on to win the MDL, has been loaned out to GEEK Fam, which is a very interesting move, right? Your MDL champion loaned out. Honestly, for me, I don't think it's that much of a. I think it's just a good move for both parties, for Matt and for GEEK Fam, for Bigatron Alpha too. Bigatron Alpha, they understand that Matt's not going to be in the main lineup, right? They already have Marky as the gold laner. They have a solid XP laner in Chorizo and Veer No Cure. Matt just doesn't have a place right now on the main roster, but in the main roster of the MPL team. Thing is though, I don't think he's an MDL player too. I think he is MPL level, but he's just not at the level of the players who are in the main lineup of Bigatron Alpha. So for Matt, he needs the playtime in MPL. He needs more of that experience. So moving to GEEK Fam is a very good choice, I think, for him to develop as a player, to mature as a player, and also for GEEK Fam to get a solid XP laner, right? GEEK Fam are in desperate need of some depth right now, because if they don't have Matt, they don't have substitutes at all, right? So they are in desperate need of they're in desperate need for some depth, and I think Matt brings that to the table, and that's why I think this is just a win-win for every single party. Next, we have another Bigatron move, Renbo to RRQ Hoshi, which is quite crazy. This is the one that shocked me the most, because I did not know about this move at all. Because, okay, from Matt to GEEK Fam, Aldo to Bigatron Alpha, me as a caster, I have my sources. I don't leak any of these things, but I have my sources. I've heard rumors. I've heard the moves before it even happened, right? But for Renbo to RRQ, I think this is the best kept transfer secret that we've seen in a long time, because nobody knew about Renbo to RRQ, and nobody even expected this, right? RRQ losing R7 because of his hand issue, his health issue. R7 had to take a break. I expected an XP laner to step in, maybe for them to buy an XP laner from either the MDL or an MPL team, right? Rumors were circulating about RQ buying out Dyron from Rebellion Zion. Still don't know where that's going. It's still a rumor right now that's floating in the air. Don't know where Dyron is as well. He's not in the Rebellion roster, so that's still up in the air. But Renbo, nobody expected RQ to go for a mid laner, right? They already have two very good mid laners, technically three last season with Psychoo, Lemon, and Clay. Psychoo was moved to Alter Ego, so they still have Lemon and Clay. With Renbo joining in, that's three mid laners, unless the rumors are true and Lemon actually rotates to the XP lane, right? If Lemon rotates to the XP lane, though, it's still Clay and Renbo. Clay, I would say right now, way more experience internationally, plays a bit safer and plays to RQ style a bit better. Renbo, a bit more. I think Renbo is a very egotistical player. This is not in any way to insult the player. I think for me, that's the style that can carry you games. I actually like that kind of play style, right? When you're a mid lane, you need to play in a way where blue lock, bro. You need that ego to be the best. And I think Renbo, he brings that to the table with his flex picks as well. He's very flexible. One of the most interesting players to see, to watch when it comes down to what he picks. He's the guy who brought the Hayabusa in the mid lane, the Beatrix in the mid lane, the Johnson Kadita meta. He was the Johnson as well in Season 8 when it first started. And he also played Gord. He can play a lot of different heroes in the mid lane is what I'm trying to say here. And his signature picks with the Sicilian, the Yves, and the Farsa will always be a solid choice, right? So Renbo to RQ, a bit of a weird move, but it can definitely help RQ. And I think his flexibility is his main weapon for RQ Hoshi. Next, in relation to RQ, Acil. Coach Acil, whoa, this is a big topic because it seems like everybody hates this man in Indonesia. Man. With, all the comments that he's made about not banning Estes, I can see why a lot of people don't agree and dislike him, but obviously it's a team decision, right? It's not just a decision that he made for himself. It's a team also trusting that he can make that decision for the team, and unfortunately, it did not work out. Acil kicked out. That's what we all thought from RQ Hoshi. Farewell. Boom. Done. He's going to be fired and he won't have a job. Nope. He joins ONIC Esports. season 9 champion, season 10 champions, season 8 champions, and he changed his name to Adi, right? I think this is a very good. I don't know if this shows. I don't know if this is good or not, right? For ONIC Esports, for Coach Acil himself, but for me, his name change says a lot about him. It says that he might want to change the way he thinks as well, right? Maybe tone down on that, the pride, the ego. Maybe now going for respect bans, and I think aside from that, there's not much to criticize about the guy, right? He's still a very good coach. He's a genius when it comes to the draft. It's just sometimes he lets his pride get the better of him, right? He wants to beat his opponents without banning those respect heroes because he feels like, hey, we can do better than you. Sometimes it's a good quality to have, but clearly at M4 it was not. Here again with the change, best of luck to Coach Acil. Always been a fan of the guy. Just around like the knowledge and everything when it comes down to his achievements too. He hasn't really won anything. He's mostly gone like second, third places, but it's always still very impressive to see that level of consistency with the amount of longevity he has had in the esports scene. Next is another RQ move, Psychoo. Actually moving over to Alter Ego, which is a very strange move in my opinion because I feel like Alter Ego, the only thing they were lacking, they kind of lacked a jungler presence in the playoffs. I feel like SLATE Boy definitely underperformed heavily in the playoffs of Season 10. Everybody else performed out of their minds. Pi, Nino, Udil, Leo Murphy. Since then, Kids has joined as the main jungler since MPL. I think that won't change. I still think Kids will be the main jungler unless SLATE Boy pops off again and he goes back to Season 6 SLATE Boy where he was really in his prime, or even Season 7 or 8 in the first half of the regular season. Right? If SLATE Boy finds that form again, it's Alter Ego win streak time. But Psychoo to Alter Ego is pretty weird because he's a mid laner. He's been playing mid lane. Sure, he can play roam. He can. But they have Udil, right? Udil, I think, is a more consistent mid laner. I think in terms of the hero pool, Psychoo is a bit limited too, based on what we've seen so far. In his MDL performance when he was in RQ Senna and even when he's in MPL for RQ Hoshi, but again, can all change. I think the best move that Alter Ego can make is moving Psychoo and making him a roamer, right? Because I think that's what they lack right now with Leo Murphy's departure from the team. They only have Rassi, and I don't know. Again, from what I've seen in the MDL, Rassi hasn't really been a crazy standout. He's been a good player. He's been a consistent player, but he hasn't been like he's not a Leo Murphy, right? He has his own style of play. We'll see how that works out. But if Psychoo really wants to step in as the main lineup, I might actually will say that I think it's a better move for him to be a roamer instead of competing with Udil in the mid lane. But I think that's about it for MPL Indonesia Season 11 transfers. We're moving over to a very interesting topic here. For Team Indonesia, MLBB, SEA Games roster. Who's it going to be, right? In the Philippines, Bren Esports won the qualifiers, so it's still like the way they're doing qualifiers and the way they're selecting teams in Philippines is still with the whole tournament format where one full team will represent Philippines. In Indonesia, we're still doing the full all-star selection kind of thing, national selection. Now for the coach, I think it's a no-brainer. Zace completely deserves this slot. He was selected. There was a reason he wasn't revealed as the coach for EVOS Legends this season, and this is why, right? I think it's just a no-brainer. Zace deserves this 100% with his performance at ISF, with his performance in most of his international appearances, international tournament appearances. I think so far he's at 100% actually when it comes to international tournaments. For ISF and M1, right? Not counting MPLI. I think MPLI is the only one that he hasn't been able to win. But other than that, he's doing pretty good. So Zace as the coach, no problem with that. Completely agree, deserves it. Now looking at the lineup or the players who they have called up to participate in the national selection: SarCAST, Brands, Udil, Dreams, Albert, Boots, Skylar, Clay, Vin, Taz, Fluffy, CW, Sans, Keyboy, Sutsujin, Luke, Hijume, and Drian Key. Okay, So these are the these are the boys that have been called up. So I'm gonna give you guys my personal all-star lineup from these names, right? In the first recording, I gave a couple of options, but now I think for me, I'm gonna have to try to make it just one player per role. All right, one player per role, which is gonna be very hard, very, very tough. Okay, one player per role and one sub. All right, so make it interesting. I think for me, I will put SarCAST as the XP laner. I think SarCAST has improved so much since he first joined the MPL. And I think amongst these names, he is the best. Doesn't get his nerves get the better of him, right? I think if it's not SarCAST, I would give a special, an honorable mention to Fluffy. Boots is still up there too. I think if we're talking about a local league, I would just say Boots number one, but Boots somewhere, I don't really know why, but he really underperforms in international tournaments. If you can get that out of the way, I would say Boots 100%. But for right now, I'll say SarCAST. Now in the jungle, again, this is going to be really tough. It's Albert or Taz. Those are the two junglers I'm looking at, right? Because I'm not going to be looking at Sutsujin. I feel like he just lacks the experience right now. And he doesn't have the... Yeah, I mean, Taz and Albert are on a different league, I think, right now. And I think I'll just take Albert and Taz. You know, one of them is going to be substitute, but having these two junglers... Never mind. Wait, we won't go for the substitute yet, right? I think because we already have SarCAST, Taz might be a good fit here. I think he plays the utility junglers very, very well. I think he's a very solid assassin player too, maybe even better than Albert actually. Right now, if we look at their form, Taz and ISF, but Albert's consistency is something that we need to note, right? Albert's been on top of the jungle game for so long, and he's consistently been hitting those highs that have definitely been higher than Taz in terms of mechanical displays. It's just right now he's not in the form that Taz is, but we're looking at two different tournaments. I'm looking at Taz and ISF, which was a month prior from M4. Albert's M4 performance was solid, but Taz at ISF was just impressive, right? This is a very tough call, but I think based on the experience, I might have to say, I don't know, Albert though? Okay, we'll skip jungle for now. This is very tough. Mid lane, let's talk about mid lane. I think for mid lane, I will still just go with Clay. I think Clay is the most well-rounded out of every single candidate here. I think Udil on his signature picks is, you know, the best mid laner, but again, on his signature picks, that's one of the weaknesses that Udil has, his hero pool. He can be banned out, and if that does happen, he does struggle in a lot of the matches that we've seen him in. Sans also a solid option, but looking at it, if they really want just a consistent mid laner, I would just say Clay, right? Sans is a bit too risky sometimes. He's not that instinctual player, so I'm going to stick with Clay. And for Drian, his flexibility opens a lot of doors for the team. He can be a second choice in my opinion because he has a very similar playstyle to Clay as well in terms of how he plays the mid lane, the mages, but there's an addition of that flex. I think Clay is a bit more consistent though, so we'll go with Clay still. In the... Now, mid already. Rome is another toughie. But I think it's either Vin or Dreams, right? I think Kivoy is a solid player, but again, internationally, hasn't been able to find his like that level of form that he like finds in the MPL ID in the local league. Also, when it comes down to shot calling, I do believe Vin is just on another level. With that being said, though, Vin hero pool kind of a question mark. Very easily exploited. I'll have to go with Dreams for the roamer here. And for the gold lane, I think Brands, right? There's not much to say here. Brands is crazy, dude. Brands is probably the best gold laner we have in Indonesia right now, looking at his performance. Maybe Skylar comes second here. CW, again, there's something with ONIC players. Unfortunately, it's so unfortunate, but there's something with ONIC players and just not performing internationally as they do usually, right? So I'm still going to have to... I think for a gold lane, it's Brands. Now we're going back to the jungle. I think going for Albert. I'll go with Albert. More consistent through, has like had a longer career, more experiences. So I think going for him will be a bit wiser here. But I will take Taz as the substitute. So yeah, there you go. Or it's either Taz or Drian. If you want to use that flexibility, you go for Drian. But if you want to have another jungler, you go for Taz. That's it for me. And right now, the final topic is also the women's roster for MLBB, for SEA Games. And I think a lot of you guys can, if you guys follow the women's league and the women's scene for MLBB, I think there's no real debate for this one. I don't think there's an argument to be made for anything except just Bigatron era, the whole team being selected, right? They have dominated the women's scene for so long now. If they don't go for the main five of Bigatron era as the main lineup, I don't know, man. I really don't feel like anyone can replace them. They can definitely get some substitutes in. I would say Funi is a very good mid lane player for GPX as well that can fit in technically, but I feel like just the roster that Bigatron era has is just the best in every single role. And we've seen the results constantly from this women's division. They've won everything, right? If you change something here, I don't think it'll work. They know each other so well. I think it's, for me, I mean, it's a bold statement, but I think it's a guarantee that the Bigatron era team will win the women's division gold. This team is just unbeatable for now, right? We'll see, though. Again, that's my take, and I think that's the end for this episode. If you guys have any opinions, if you guys want to ask, or if you guys want to discuss anything, if you guys think, differently from any of my takes, obviously comment down below. I love to read the comments in every single SarCAST. It's very interesting to see your opinions as well. And yeah, let's just have a little fun discussion down below in the comment section. If you guys want to have a deeper conversation with any of my members or even with me, you guys can join Discord, where I'm a little bit more active than on the YouTube channel because I only check it from time to time, right? But yeah, that's about it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the second time that I've recorded this, and it's ending pretty much at the same time, at 27 minutes. So we didn't lose that much time, or we didn't add that much more time. Again, thank you so much, every single one of you guys, for watching. Comment down below, subscribe if you're new to the channel, join the broys, and obviously like the video. I'll see you guys, or see you broys, next time.